Daniel Carter was the kind of man who believed he had everything figured out. 34, tall, well-dressed, with a reputation as one of the most promising marketing directors in New York. His colleagues said he was confident. His friends said he was charming. Deep down, Daniel knew he was just tired of pretending that success filled the void that loneliness had carved out inside him. He had tried dating apps, introductions, even a few awkward setups from coworkers, but none ever clicked. That's when his sister convinced him to try something different, a blind date arranged through a private agency that specialized in meaningful matches. Daniel wasn't hopeful, but he went alone, mostly to stop her from nagging. The restaurant was elegant, dim lighting, soft piano music, the kind of place where people whispered instead of talked. Daniel checked his watch, impatient. His date was 10 minutes late. He was just about to call the agency when the hostess approached with a polite smile. "Mr. Carter? Your guest has arrived." He turned, and that's when he saw her. A woman in her late 20s, maybe early 30s, with long dark hair and eyes that carried a quiet, magnetic strength. She moved slowly, her hands gripping the wheels of a sleek, modern wheelchair. Daniel froze for a second, not out of judgment, but surprise. He hadn't been told. And he didn't know what to say. She smiled softly, noticing his hesitation. "Hi, I'm Evelyn." Her voice was warm, calm, like a gentle breeze after a storm. He forced a smile and extended his hand. "Daniel. It's, great to meet you." She chuckled lightly. "You sound terrified, Daniel." Her humor disarmed him instantly. He laughed, awkwardly. "A little. I didn't expect." "A wheelchair," she finished for him, still smiling. "It's okay. Most people don't. Let's sit." "Well, I'm already sitting." As the evening went on, something strange happened. The awkwardness melted away. Evelyn talked about books, art, and her travels, not the typical places, but the kind of stories that had meaning. She spoke of how she once drove alone through the countryside just to feel the wind in her hair, even though her hands could barely grip the wheels. Daniel found himself drawn to her honesty. He didn't pity her, he admired her. "So, what do you do?" he asked at one point. "I'm in business," she said vaguely, stirring her tea. "Just a little company I run." He smiled. "You sound humble." "How little?" Evelyn's lips curved in amusement. "Let's just say, big enough to keep me busy." He didn't push further. He liked that she didn't lead with titles or wealth. There was something rare about that. But then came the twist. When the bill arrived, Daniel reached for it, only for the waiter to hesitate. "It's already been covered, sir. Miss Monroe has a corporate account here." Daniel blinked. "Corporate account?" The waiter nodded respectfully toward Evelyn. "Yes, sir. Ms. Evelyn Monroe, CEO of Monarch Technologies." Daniel nearly dropped his card. Evelyn Monroe, one of the youngest and most successful tech CEOs in the city. Her company was worth millions. She noticed his shock and tilted her head. "Still think I'm just a girl in a wheelchair?" He swallowed, embarrassed. "No. Wow. You're that Evelyn Monroe?" "I used to be," she said quietly. "Before the accident." There was a silence, deep and uncomfortable. "What happened?" Daniel asked softly. "Car crash," she said, looking out the window. 2 years ago. My fiancé was driving. He didn't make it. I lost everything for a while, the use of my legs, the will to live, the trust to love again." Her voice trembled for the first time that night. Daniel didn't know what to say. He reached across the table, his hand covering hers gently. "I'm sorry." Evelyn looked down at their hands, then up at him. "You know what's funny? People see the chair, and they assume I'm broken. But I'm not. I just had to learn how to move differently. The world doesn't stop, we just find new ways to live in it." Daniel's heart clenched. He realized she wasn't someone who needed saving, she was someone who had already saved herself. That night ended with a quiet goodbye. No promises, no awkward talk about next time. Just a soft, meaningful look that lingered longer than it should have. But as Daniel walked to his car, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: hope. Days turned into weeks. He couldn't stop thinking about her. So he texted. Then called. They began meeting, casual at first, then longer, deeper conversations. Evelyn was witty, kind, and sharp. She challenged him in ways no one ever had. Yet, beneath it all, Daniel felt something tugging at him: fear. Fear that he wasn't enough for her. She was extraordinary, and he was just ordinary. One evening, when he went to pick her up for dinner, he overheard something that broke his heart. Evelyn was on the phone, arguing with her board of directors. "No, I won't step down," she said firmly. "I may not walk, but I still lead. Don't mistake my silence for weakness." When she hung up, she looked exhausted. Daniel wanted to hold her, but instead, he said quietly, "You don't have to keep proving yourself." She looked at him, her eyes heavy with unshed tears. "Yes, I do. The world sees my chair before it sees me. I have to keep reminding them I'm still here." He knelt down beside her, meeting her eyes. "I see you, Evelyn. Not the chair. You." For a moment, time stopped. She smiled faintly, but it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Months passed. Their bond grew stronger, but Evelyn struggled with something she hadn't told him: fear of falling in love again. Her last relationship had ended in tragedy, and she didn't want to be someone's burden. So, one evening, she tried to end it. "Daniel," she said softly over dinner, "you deserve someone who can walk beside you, not someone you have to push." He laughed, tears stinging his eyes. "You think love is about walking? Evelyn, I don't care if you roll, crawl, or fly, I just want you." Her hands trembled. "Why?" "Because you made me see again," he said. "Not with my eyes, with my heart." And that's when she smiled through tears and whispered, "Thank you, for seeing me." Years later, that same woman, still in her wheelchair, still unshakably strong, walked down an aisle of white roses. Not on her legs, but pushed lovingly by the man who had once been her blind date. When they reached the altar, Daniel whispered, "Still think this was a blind date gone wrong?" She laughed softly, looking up at him. "No. It was the best mistake I ever made." And as they exchanged vows, everyone in the room, from board members to family, knew they were witnessing something far deeper than romance. It was a story about resilience, acceptance, and seeing beyond what the eyes can show. Because love, real love, doesn't need perfect timing, perfect people, or perfect circumstances. It just needs two souls brave enough to see each other, truly see each other, for who they are.